Rumour has it that you're returning to the ring in April. Can you confirm anything of this? I think it's going to ruin his legacy. I saw him in a wheelchair with a cane. I mean, it's not looking good.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Is there ever going to be a return? Can we expect you back in the ring at any point?
Oh, man. That's how you get me back to it.
Welcome, Misfits Boxing fans. I'm your host, Ben the Vein Davis, alongside my co-host, BL, and we have an amazing episode in store for you today. The entire crossover scene has gotten some major shakeups since our last news episode, but before we dive into all those updates, I gotta ask, BL, how are you?
I'm very well, Ben. How's your day been?
It's starting.
Early morning for us all. But let me run you through what an eventful week we've had. Not only has the world of crossover boxing been buzzing this week, but we've even had the traditional boxing world seeing its fair share of excitement. But before we delve into the latest update, let's kick things off with a rundown of what's to come up. So today we will be discussing the fight between Dean the Great and Adam Salah, diving into the mega fight between Ngannou and Anthony Joshua, discussing the confirmed Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul matchup, and wrapping things up with a bit of Misfits fun.
Now, before we delve into all that, let's address a more serious matter. Dean the Great, one of our most promising and talented fighters, a staple of the scene, is currently in a bit of a dispute with the organization. While the details are still unfolding and there's a lot that we don't know, here is a little rundown on what we've observed so far.
So let's kick things off of how this whole situation started. Obviously, we covered it on Misfits News, where Aiden Ross actually said, Misfits, they have a problem with us, this and that, and it started to create a little bit of friction, I'd say there, to say the minimum. And it looked like there was going to be some competition. Now, Ben, I have no issue with competition. Misfits doesn't have any issue with competition. It helps us rise and get better. However, there's such a thing called contract, and this is where things are starting to get a bit ugly and unnecessary, to be honest with you. I think that's the best way I can put it.
I hope everybody can reconcile a little bit. I don't think the situation's too far gone. If Misfits didn't like Dean the Great, they probably wouldn't be doing a fucking tournament for him,
They
right?
wouldn't be doing a full tournament for our champion. I mean, that's what I really am struggling to understand, especially when he actually came on here and said he was injured. I mean, that for me is where things aren't adding up. At the end of the day, he has contracted fights with Misfits, and what Misfits want is for his best safety. We know, and we've spoken about how dangerous these off-license, I guess we're going to call them fights. It's not a spar. It's going to be done in 10 to 12 ounce with a winner. It's not a spar.
It's not a spar at all. That's not the tone that they seem to be marketing Dean and Adam going back and forth. It doesn't sound like they're going to go in there and have a light technical back and forth. Look at the shows that he's already put on. People getting flatlined. You know, Wade Plem talking about how they don't have the right equipment, that they're boiling mouthpieces at the venue, that they it's not a safe environment. So as someone who likes Dean, I don't want to see him go into these uncharted waters where you could get seriously fucked up and get injured further. I don't think he's healed, guys. I think he is injured, right? I talked to him. I talked to his coach. I think the guy's injured. And so going into this atmosphere and competing in that shape, I'm sorry, it's not smart. And I don't think that it's the best thing for him to do.
There is so much going on behind the scene that even myself and Ben are not enough well-informed to tell you what's going on. Not even Mams Taylor is enough well-informed. Because Mams Taylor, the way he found out Dean was fighting on this was through Twitter. And this is what I mean about playground. This is just not well set up. This is not well organized. Things weren't communicated properly. And this is why this situation is arising. We have seen Misfits fighters fight on other platforms. We've seen KSI spar speed when things are controlled in a controlled environment, the right headgear, and everyone's informed, everyone's involved. Well, when it's done like this is why the situations arise.
What would have been the best way to do this is Dean going through Misfits, going through Mams, saying, I've got this opportunity to make some more money, and it's a spar on Aiden's platform. Is this okay? It's just the situation that we're in. But BL, like you mentioned, we really are not informed enough on this topic, and I'm not going to try and pretend to be. So that's all we have. That's a brief rundown. I hope it all works out best for everybody.
On a lighter note, the traditional boxing world has saw fireworks this weekend, particularly in the AJ versus Ngannou fight. He effortlessly took out one of the most dangerous combat fighters in the world. Ben, what were your thoughts on that Anthony Joshua performance?
Yeah, I'm fucking pissed. No, obviously the mixed martial arts lineal heavyweight champ Francis Ngannou has had such a Cinderella story, even knocking down Tyson Fury, right? He could have ended it there and it would have been perfect. Coming back for more with AJ, so respectable. But this is what happens, right? When you go into the waters with a great white shark and you are, in this analogy, a duck. you get completely destroyed. So knocking out someone like Francis Ngannou, and I get he's not a guy who's been boxing his entire life, but that highlight, I mean, man, that's kind of put some wind back into the sails of Anthony Joshua.
It was really lift off for AJ. I mean, what a return. And he has set a statement. When I saw Tyson Fury looking at AJ after that knockout, he looked scared. And it's because Anthony Joshua is back with a vengeance and he looks hungry, excited. And that's what was missing, all those fights. AJ got those counters. Ngannou was too slow, but don't let that take away. Ngannou dared to be great. He got into that ring and he did everything. He gave it his all. And I don't want to take away from him at all, but I do want to give AJ his flowers and say, what a performance. He did exactly what had to be done. And now that fight is set up. If Tyson Fury beats Usyk, we need to see the mega fight.
Oh, it'd be fantastic. Now, I do want to add Mighty Mouse saying that Anthony Joshua would win in mixed martial arts as well. Dumb. I'm sorry. I hate to disagree with the consensus greatest of all time, but Francis Ngannou would do exactly what AJ did to him in a cage. I mean, it's Ngannou's world. Well, shifting gears, and what I didn't expect to be announcing, Jake Paul versus 57-year-old Mike Tyson. Let's break this down, BL. What are your thoughts on the fuck this is happening here?
I think the best way you put it was, I didn't expect even you to utter those names in the same sentence. I mean, the legendary Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. 20 years ago, Mike Tyson was an absolute animal. Now you look at things now, I think it's going to ruin his legacy. I saw him in a wheelchair with a cane. I mean, it's not looking good.
But the matchup itself leaves so much to be desired because on one hand, you've got Jake Paul saying, I want to be a world champ. That's why I'm taking the Ryan Bowerling, the Andre August fights. He wants that professional title. Cool, that's your goal. Great. This action, taking this fight, is such a departure from that. Paul, go fight a Masvidal. Go fight a KSI. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. I think Paul's going to knock him out. What do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to be a brutal KO. And, you know, I think maybe Mike Tyson may start off. He's going to put those combinations together, but Jake Paul, it's not going to affect him. Those punches are not going to be hard. As much as you want to say he holds the power, he's not going to hold any power. I mean, those knees will probably buckle after the first swing. And then when Jake Paul starts to land those combination punches, which are going to be quicker, they're going to be more powerful and more ferocious with intention. That's when Mike Tyson, unfortunately, will go down within the second or third round. And it's going to be really ugly to see. And it's going to be a shame for not only the traditional boxing world, but for all those kids at home that aspired to be like Mike Tyson.
Now, Biel, if we want to break down this freak show fight properly, maybe we should invite a member of the breakdown out of Misfits News. Please help me welcome Faze Sensei.
Boost! What's up?
I love it, man. Dude, it's great to have you here, man. Let's kick it off with a big clash in Saudi Arabia over the weekend. Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua. What was your immediate reaction to that?
I had predicted Joshua to win, and my original prediction was it depends on the Joshua that shows up. Right? That's this whole fight is going to depend on that. Francis is a guy, obviously super scary, a lot of power, but didn't have to box off his back foot against Tyson Fury. Wasn't like put in any crazy situations. So when you see the whole, like when you see like something like a non-boxer like Francis Ngannou, like lulling and kind of playing the game, and Anthony Joshua's kind of playing the game, someone who's a boxer, they're setting a trap for you. And with someone like Joshua who has like those hammers of hands, it was like one of those things that I'm watching, like I'm waiting for a balloon to pop and just waiting, and then Joshua did his thing.
What would you say is next for both guys? Where would you put Ngannou and AJ moving forward?
Well, AJ's got to continue the path, this is good for him because his name as a heavyweight boxer in the last few years hasn't been great, and he's been rebuilding that. So I think it's just getting back on that train to trying to be solidified as the best. Because I think like in the UK and certain people like, yeah, Joshua's the best, but people like, his fight style, he can't do it. But now this is what he needs right here. Now he's got to just do this and take everybody out and be, the boxing baddest man on the planet. And now for Francis, back to MMA. Remind everyone that I am the baddest man on the planet, that I could beat everybody up. Because when you get, regardless of whether you can hurt somebody, like that whole, listen, I'm a real fighter, this is just boxing, like it's protecting you. Regardless, you still got like flatlined. You know what I mean? You still have that,
got
knocked out. And it's like one of those like UFC like animations where you get like your body folds. That still happens. You know what I'm saying? So like obviously yes, but that still happens. So he's gotta get back into that and get back to his roots to remind everybody, how it is.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, one of our previous guests, Mighty Mouse, said something quite controversial. He said that AJ would beat Ngannou in MMA as well. What's your thoughts on that perspective?
Whoa. Really?
Yeah.
Mighty Mouse. Okay.
I know. Betrayal, dude. Betrayal.
Can you give me some context as to why before I answer?
From what I saw, obviously I saw it quite briefly, but what I saw on the Happy Punch channel is he said that because of those fundamentals, those basics he had, it's going to be a trade-off, and Joshua's just going to do the same thing in MMA. They're just going to trade off, and Joshua's just going to land those big hands and knock him out.
Okay, so he's betting on that Francis is going to just throw hand for hands with him.
Yeah.
Well, okay. If you well, with that being said, yes, if you go in there with a boxer and go, I'm just going to try to box you with these small gloves in here, that's a terrible idea. Obviously the clinch work is different, right? If Francis is able to dirty box him in a way in MMA that you can't in regular boxing, maybe Francis will decide to, if I say to Francis decides to stand with him, he'll have some edge in that area. And obviously he can kick. Francis is not the greatest kicker, but he can kick better than Joshua. That's for sure. Right. And it only takes a couple leg kicks for those hands to start dropping and those things to start happening. And so that's Francis all day. Sorry, Mighty Mouse.
Faze Sensei, I want to take your attention to another fight that was announced. This one's a bit more interesting. Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. It stirred up quite a buzz. What was your initial reaction? It's on Netflix, which is big. It's at AT&T Stadium, but man, what a weird fight.
My initial reaction, no way. Right, that was my initial reaction, no way. And then I'm looking into it, and I see Mike posted something, and then Mike had some words on it. I'm like, Mike did not type those words, first of all. Yeah, that was a PR person.
It was a PR team for sure.
Yeah, that was his team. I was like, what is this? This doesn't sound like Mike at all. It's crazy for the Pauls because Logan, fought Floyd, and now Jake's doing this. I've heard some things about the rule set's going to be a little different. I don't know. Obviously, it's an exhibition fight, and I got some of my friends being like, Jake Paul's fight to get knocked out. Dude, Mike Tyson's the go. And I'm like, oh, God, this is why they're doing it. This is why they're doing it.
The casuals don't know, man.
This is the audience they're tending to. But it's like, it's an insane thing. Mike Tyson, where does he line up in the echelon of opponents that Jake Paul has fought? People forget Jake, yes, he had these last two opponents which don't look great because it's like this no-name essentially boxers, but he beat Anderson Silva. I know Anderson was in his 40s, but he was still he could still fight, right? He's still, you know what I mean? So, and if I beat Nate Diaz for 10 rounds, like he's in there with
Woodley twice. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So
and knocked him out as well. I mean, it wasn't like it was a decision, it was a knockout.
No, and Mike Tyson was one of the smaller heavyweights, if not one of the smallest heavyweights to win the way he did in his prime, right? And he did it off elusiveness and speed and explosivity. Yeah. You're 60 years old. It's not there. Now again,
all that's gone. Yeah, all those are gone.
You're like, oh, Jake Paul. And it's like the Jake Paul Team 10 YouTuber is long gone, if you haven't noticed. Okay, I've already saw him knock down Anderson Silva. I already see him send Nate Diaz across the canvas. I don't need to see Mike Tyson get dropped. I don't need that.
Do you think this is going to ruin Mike Tyson's legacy, possibly?
It depends how the fight goes. This is all I say with every fight. Like, how is this card going to be? How is this fight going to go? I'm like, well, let's see. Francis Ngannou, if that fight goes the distance, it's great. Like, he lost to Tyson on the thing, but it didn't matter. Everyone thought he won. When you get flatlined, when you get knocked KO'd, it's never good. So, especially with that guy that age, if he gets hurt, it's not good.
What do you think of KSI as an opponent for Jake Paul?
I love that, man. It's the storyline of it's influencer boxing. Like, this is what started influencer boxing. Jake Paul, KSI. This is what's supposed to happen. This is in the comic book story. This is the part of the story. These two need to fight. You know what I mean? And they've gotten themselves to be better than I ever thought they would be in boxing. Like, way better. Never thought KSI would be this good. Never thought Jake Paul would ever be this good. These guys need to fight. They need to make it happen for the people.
Well, something I want to touch on there. You said they got way better than you thought. Jake Paul obviously has aspirations of being world champion. Do you think he will ever reach that milestone?
I'm in the never say never stage because I've thought a lot of things about Jake and KSI, like how far they would get, just because when you were watching them when they first started. And I could have never said I would thought KSI would be in the shape that he is and be able to level that he can compete now to go against like a Tommy Fury, a guy who's that kind of experience. And the same thing with especially Jake to go compete with Anderson, even as a retiree, even Tyron Woodley, Nate Diaz, 10 rounds, professional the way that he looks. I never thought they would get here. And I just saw a video of Jake Paul when like me and him were going back and forth. I was like, yeah, see, I wasn't crazy. That's the kid that I thought I was going to be fighting. You know what I mean? He just looked like he was fresh out of high school. Come on, playing baseball. He looked like a baseball player. Now, no offense, but you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he didn't look like a football player. Or he didn't look the type of athlete that he is now. To see how far these guys come is crazy.
And it's interesting because I believe you've sparred with KSI on multiple occasions. Yep. What is kind of the biggest area that you've seen him improve upon in since your guys' spars?
Well, the level of athlete has been the biggest difference. I remember like when we first started, he was new to Boxing. He was just starting to get in shape for Joe. It was Joe Weller. So he wasn't even at the level of shape, like that transformation hadn't happened yet for the Joe Weller camp. So from there to preparing for Logan Paul 1, which, because he was smaller than me. So then I'm now I'm sparring him for Logan Paul. I'm like, this is a whole linebacker right now that I'm about to spar. He's like 200 pounds, his traps, the power that he had, and then his conditioning. He was always like scrappy, and he got better at being scrappy, but just the level of athlete. I was just like, wow, I thought I was a pretty good athlete, and then I just saw him become a way better athlete, and I'm like, well, all right, there's that, you know. So that was the biggest difference.
Talking about you, Sensei, the last time we saw you was King Kenny at Misfits 1, all the way back in Misfits 1. Is there ever going to be a return? Can we expect you back in the ring at any point?
Oh man, I work full time. I think I'm like the only YouTuber that works a full-time job, and it's not even like a full-time job. I run a martial arts school. If I'm going to compete with these guys, maybe I'm willing to be a backup.
Oh, all right. Okay.
Put me on the list if you need somebody, because, a fight fell through and you need them to save the day.
Yeah. Now, I want to change gears a little bit. Wade Plem, other half of the breakdown. It's been quite active again. We talked about that Le'Veon Bell spar. Do you think that he might have an itch to get in there at any point in time?
I know that he has. And I know that he wants to, and he's a competitor. He's an athlete.
Would you and Wade ever be down for a little breakdown versus somebody else?
That's how you get me back, dude.
I was gonna say that might be.
Wade hits me up, and he's like, "Bro, I need you." I'm like, "You know what, dude? I'm there." You know what I mean? It's like no hesitation. Tag team, I'm there, brother. Let's get it.
Faze Sensei, thank you so much for the time, sir. It's truly been a pleasure, and we'll speak with you soon.
Appreciate it. Oos.
Wow, having Faze Sensei I felt like it was an Avenger OG coming back to Misfits. What an amazing guest it was to have him back. But there was something that stood out to me, Ben. The tag team fight, Wade and Sensei. I would love nothing more to see that on Misfits Boxing.
I don't think there's a single fan of influencer boxing that would not want to see Wade Plem step into the boxing ring. I think that would be the biggest thing ever. And Faze Sensei at his side, it would just make sense.
Something has been announced on the side cast. Danny Aaron's versus Bevo has been confirmed for July.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm very curious about Danny Aaron's debut.
He seems so confident. He seems so confident, Danny Aaron's, and that's what has me so intrigued, is that I haven't seen a Misfits boxer that's never fought be this confident. I mean, he's calling out everyone.
Yeah, outside myself, there's just nobody that's really exuded that. But I do want to mention, it looks like a gust of wind would take out Bevo. So the matchup, I'm not saying it. But
Bevo has experience. I've been hearing.
You keep fucking saying that. I've never seen it. You keep even saying this for weeks. He's got experience. Show me. Why don't we check in on one of the Misfits' top superstars, Salt Papi, to get his take on all of these rumors.
Good to see you again.
Yeah, it's perfect to see you again as well. It's been a little minute. How have you been? Obviously, you've been away. The Misfits fans haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been during this time?
So I've been back to the Philippines for like a month. I did some training there with the Philippines Olympic boxing team. Learned a few like techniques and knowledge from them. Like they're really like about it. They live there. They live in the boxing gym. They wake up, they train, and then they train again.
We spoke about it in our last interview slightly, and I want to talk about how you showcase a dominance in the scene. You were the guy, and then there was a bit of a shift in dynamic. How are you going to recover from that and become the guy on Misfits again?
I fought 2 champions already. I fought the best of the best, and I know I have the skills to beat them. Like, they rematch me. So I just made a few mistakes, like, put my hands down when I was fighting, and make sure it'll never happen again.
How have you made those adjustments? So this time round, if you were to fight Slim, if you were to fight Anthony Taylor, how are those adjustments going to be set to ensure the win this time?
I'll be more smarter. I feel like I got like, smarter, like, from all the losses. Yeah, I'm more intelligent. I have better boxing IQ now. You'll see it in the ring when I come back.
I've heard rumors that you've been studying Hagio Ipo, and that's what you're going to be bringing into the next fight.
Nah.
Well, we spoke with AJ recently. We had her on the show, and she said about an 11-minute sparring session that you did. 1 round of 11 minutes. What's the truth behind this?
I like competition, and the guy I was sparring likes competition. He didn't want to stop, so I don't want to stop. I waited until coach told us to stop. Otherwise, we wouldn't stop. It's like the doghouse rule.
It looks like you're coming back with a vengeance, Salt Papi. But rumor has it that you're returning to the ring in April. Can you confirm anything of this? I know you can't say too much, but can you give the fans something to look forward to there?
I can't say too much, like you said, but I'll definitely be back in the ring anytime soon.
And could you possibly, I'm not telling you to say anything official, but any insights about your upcoming fight?
Like I said, I don't want to say anything, but you'll see me back in the ring soon.
I'm going to say you're very well trained. Sometimes we can get a lot out of people and you're very good at your job. So well done to you, man. Is going to be really happy that you haven't leaked anything there. Now, a previous opponent of yours, Slim, has been very vocal about fighting KSI. Do you think he deserves this opportunity yet?
I mean, like, yes. Like, he deserves it. Like, there's no one else to fight. Like, who Slim's going to fight? Who else? Jarvis? But he needs to come down in weight. So it means he needs to vacant the 165 belt. He needs to fight 80 as well, or defend the belt. Like, he can't just win and then run away from the competition at 165. No.
Yeah, he's got to defend that belt, and I think going to 80's weight will then prove that he then can fight KSI. If he beats 80 in absolute fashion, then I don't see why not.
Like after me, he can't fight any other people below.
No.
He needs to keep fighting up. 80 is the next level, I think.
Looking ahead to 2024, what can the fans anticipate from you in terms of your career and your performances?
Like I always like to put on a great show for the people because they deserve it. They deserve for what they paid for. But I'm gonna be smarter. Like I said, I'm better than ever, and I'm ready to get back in the ring.
Well, we can't wait to see you again in the ring, Salt Papi. I'll see you real soon.
Let's get it.
What an episode and what a week full of drama. We even brought back one of the members, an OG from the breakdown, for some expert insights. Remember to like, subscribe, and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for more action-packed news updates. I've been Ben the Bane Davis, joined by my co-host BL, and we'll catch you this Thursday on Misfits News.